All right, what's up, everybody? So I want to do another interview for you guys. I want to show you. I wanted to introduce you to a guy named Josh. Josh, he buys a lot of leads from us in our term market, and I wanted to just get him on here. I wanted to pick his brain. He does a lot of local face-to-face sales. Not sure if he does virtual. We'll get into that, but he does a lot of local. He's in that Georgia area, and he's having success. And so, you guys get tired of hearing from me. I want you to hear from somebody who's working it. They buy the leads, they work it, they make money and they rinse and repeat. And so, Josh, welcome to the call.
Hey man, appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Josh is a good guy. He's got a wife and two daughters. So he's out here just trying to make a living for his family. And again, at the end of the day, that's what we're all trying to do, right? And so I think Josh, you're excited about 2022. We got some big goals we've talked about, but I'm just going to jump right in actually, and just kind of pick your brain a little bit. I've written out some questions. I kind of want to just hear from you. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So obviously this lead is new. It's came out in the last 6 months. So it's not always been a part of your business. What were you doing for this term market? What were you doing for leads before this lead came out?
Not much, really.
Okay.
So I got started in the insurance industry, May 2021. So it hasn't really been that long.
Okay.
And my first week, I actually ordered some game time final expense leads.
Okay.
Did those. I was really focused on more of the final expense part of the business for the first several months. Did really well.
Sure. A lot of people are. That's common.
Yeah. I think I actually paid like $100,000 my first 90 days. So like that was great. I was looking at like mortgage leads and it was a little bit intimidating. Sure. I don't know why I thought it was, but it took me a little bit to get to that side. And I don't remember what month it was, but somebody told me about the term leads, and somewhere along the way, just decided to give them a go, and was pretty happy with them right away. I think my first batch had some really good results.
Good. So you heard about us from just another agent? This guy?
Yeah, another agent said, "Yeah, they got these new term leads. You should check them out." It was just that. I was like, "Yeah, okay. I like to buy leads."
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So okay. Well, what has this lead done for you now? That it's an active part of your business, because you're ordering leads every week. How has this affected your business now that it's an active part of that business?
Yeah, I mean, as I've gone on, I kind of ran one type of lead when I first started, and all leads are a little bit ebb and flow. Sometimes depending on the area, and if whatever changes happen out there in the great space of how things are generated. I mean, just things can change. And what I like about them is, I live about an hour north of Atlanta. So I run a lot around Atlanta, and at different times, different types of leads that I work. Sometimes there was a lot available, sometimes they weren't. And I really like the custom order option on the term leads. I can just order them like maybe on a weekend. And I know by the time, Monday rolls around, I'm going to have plenty of leads to call. And I can just kind of count on them being there versus some of the other stuff. Sometimes it's like, it's Sunday night and I'm like, okay, well, what leads am I don't ever want to be in a shortage situation. And this allows me to do that with, really qualified people to talk to. Pretty simple.
Right. Yeah. So, one of the things we do on this lead that I love is that, if you look at the mortgage protection market, what's really cool about it is, you're talking to somebody who just had a refinance or a new purchase. Well, what's cool is that person's already gone through some type of financial underwriting, right? Like they had to qualify to get a mortgage. So that means you're talking to someone who has income, right? So one of the things we did when we try to design this lead is we want to target people with jobs.
Right.
we want to target somebody that's got a paycheck, because typically people with paychecks, they have mortgages. Not all of them do, but a lot of them do. And a lot of them have debt. A lot of them, they say, and I say this on a lot of my calls, you buy life insurance for two reasons. You either love somebody or you owe somebody. Well, if you've got a job in America, you probably got both, right? You've got somebody you love and someone you owe. So you need life insurance. And so that's why we try to target people that, they need it. Right. So I kind of want to dive into, there's always positives, there's always negatives to a lead or to business in general or to sales. Right. Working leads, there's or in sales, there's always going to be obstacles. What are some obstacles you've run into, and how did you overcome them, with our leads?
Yeah, I mean, one is just availability. Two, like you said, especially on the final expense side, I mean, you can run into, maybe a lot of older folks that can't get qualified. Maybe they just flat out don't have any income. So like you said, I love that. Immediately when I first started running them, I'm like, oh, this is a high class client.
Right.
Just plain and simple. I'm in better neighborhoods. I do 95% in person. So my average order per house per sale went up, almost doubled,
Yep.
quite honestly.
Yep.
So across the board, that was those two things like really, really increased what I was doing.
Yeah, I remember. I'll never forget when I worked my first mortgage protection lead or batch of leads. They didn't have them in my area, right? So I had to go into Raleigh, which is about an hour and a half away from where I live now. So it wasn't it wasn't my metropolis where I lived. And so eventually I got leads in my area, which was cool. But I'll never forget this. I called some buddies. I had some friends in the business, and we were all just a bunch of FE guys, right? Like we just slung it, and we were. So I was kind of the guinea pig on these mortgage leads. And I remember calling those guys and said, guys, I just wrote a $275 a month UL in this house. Then I wrote this other big term policy. I was like, I don't even know. I didn't know how to act. I did not know how to act and then I ended the call and I said, oh, by the way, they have paved driveways. They have like I was so used to just driving to mortgage protection. I mean, file expense houses, and there's mud everywhere, and it's just it's just right. It's not always the cleanest environments and stuff. I was like, dude, this guy was showing me his camper and his big RV, and I was like, this was awesome, So yeah, that's definitely a big difference if you're going from FE to term. And what would you say? Let me ask you this. It's a great question. What would be your encouragement to someone right now who's working final expense? Maybe they're a little frustrated because the final expense industry is a feast or famine. There is ebbs and flows, like you said, and you're going to be selling insurance in certain homes, and you're like, what am I doing here?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I? But the whole insurance industry is not like that. Just that one FE house. What would be your encouragement to someone who's like, man, I would love to get in the term market, but I don't know how, or I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, it's just not as complicated. And that's what it was, because I was looking at that and mortgage protection and all the term and, the bigger dollar amounts. And I don't know why it was intimidating. In my head, I had, and, what's that?
Overthinking, maybe?
Yeah, overthinking it, overthinking it. Oh, I have to learn all this extra stuff. And, maybe these people know more about insurance than I do, or something weird like that. None of it was really, founded or factual. As a matter of fact, I think my first game time term lead I did, my first sale that I went to, it was an $8,000 annual premium.
Oh, wow. So
it was a pastor, and it was simple. It was very, very simple, straightforward. He wanted a big term policy, knew exactly what he wanted. And that's kind of what I found is with the bigger policies, typically, do they know more about insurance? Not necessarily, but they know what they want and they have the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It's not a guessing game. It's not like, well, we'll see. And I'll talk about it with everybody and get back to you. So, once I just kind of pulled the trigger and got out there, I'm like, oh, this is just as simple.
It's a whole new world, and it's not as bad as I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's two things on our lead that we do that I think are vital to being successful. One is we gather the occupation. Occupation is important because we want to position you as the expert. And I tell people this, the first 3 to 5 seconds on the call is the most crucial part of the entire phone call, is because you're trying to acknowledge that, hey, I'm here because, you're a pastor, so to speak. And that's the reason I'm calling. I work with pastors. Okay. Yep. So I think you need to use the occupation. The second thing is I always like to use the coverage amount. Say, hey, John, listen, I noticed that you put 500,000 on the form. How did you land at that number? And just let them talk. Let them tell you why they want $500,000 policy. You know what I'm saying? What have you found? Like, what's your opening line? What's your approach using the occupation? And do you use that coverage amount? Like, how do you handle that?
It's painfully simple. It really, really is. So,
Great.
it's like ring, ring, ring. Hey, Andrew. Hey, this is Josh Lockhart. Just getting back to you about the online form you filled out about the non-medical term insurance, the one you put your occupation down as pastor. Remember doing that?
Mm. Yeah.
Yep. Great. Great. Hey, listen, I'm just the local guy assigned to schedule time to go through the eligibility with you. Just want to confirm a couple things. It says here you're age 69. Your email is,
Yeah.
Andrew@hotmail.com. And you listed your desired coverage was 500K. All that look correct?
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then we just schedule it.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
So, okay.
I will say one thing is there's not an address listed. And
Right.
if you're going to book an appointment with them, you got to get the address.
Right. Right.
And so a few of us, what we found, what I do is I'll book the whole thing, hey, I'm going to come out. This is what's going to happen. And at the very end, I have their zip code. So I kind of know the area they're in. Said, hey, looks like you're over in such and such. Yep. Hey, I don't have the full delivery address. What's that? And that's like the last thing
Yeah. Yeah.
of the whole phone call. And they're like, yeah, it's never been a problem. No one's questioned me on it.
Yeah. And that's, no, you should, if you're asking for address up front, this is gonna be a tough business for you.
Right.
No, that's a good point. And also, we talk about buttoning up the appointment. And by the way, am I looking for a brick house? Is it blue, yellow? What am I looking for? Okay, great. Cool. All right, man.
Yep.
Listen, I'm driving a blue truck. Okay. You'll notice, it's funny with final expense. It's so lame. I don't know why I used to do this, but if I'm talking to an old, if I'm talking to an old lady,
cheesy works.
Yeah. So if I was talking to an old lady for 5 minutes, I'd be like, listen, I'm the tall, dark, and handsome young man that's going to show up at your door. Okay. And they would just giggle and laugh, whatever. But, so it's painfully simple. Yeah. I mean, in the first 3 to 5 seconds, you want to use their occupation. Now let me ask you a question, because every agent's process is different. Like I know agents that call our term leads and they're going to get into health and, okay, you're looking for $500,000. Why did you land there? They're going to kind of like get all what they need so they can present a good educated, product. Where they can kind of do their homework before they go to the appointment. But are you doing kind of the health questions in the home, not on the phone?
Yeah. I haven't done that at all with any of my appointments. I maybe I like to be surprised, but I just, because also I would say, they put the desired coverage down, but that doesn't necessarily mean like maybe what they want and what they need are two different things. I had a lady, she had the income. She was a nurse, she made good income, $10,000 a month, whatever it was. She said she wanted $1 million coverage. Quickly, we found out she didn't want $1 million coverage because she didn't want to pay for it. But what she didn't have was final expense. So, walked out as a super small $40 a month final expense policy. Which was fine because that's what she actually needed, not necessarily what she wants. So I don't like to get too presumptive about what we're going to do when I get there. I just kind of figure it out when we're there.
One of the things too that we have taught with agents, and we've just, I have a lot of these conversations with guys, and one of the things I always used to do is I want to know why did you want $1 million? And I also want to know, like, do you have insurance? Did you have insurance? Like if they're working a job, well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever bought a policy outside of work? And if they say no, I'm like, well, this person's never bought private insurance. So I'm going to have to educate them on this whole process. Right. Whereas you'll talk to some people. It's like, he'd be like, yeah, I've got $500,000 and it's in year 18. It's a 20-year deal. That's the reason I'm doing this is because I got a term running out and I need to get another. Well, as an agent, I want to know that. I want to know what their philosophy is on private insurance, because a lot of employees have employee mindsets, and that means my job will take care of me. Right. And so, newsflash, there's not enough life insurance at your job, ma'am, sir. And so you kind of have to know their background a little bit, but you can do that in the home. You can do that. I know guys that do that on the phone. Is that something you do? Like you try to kind of figure out, why did you ask for $500,000, sir?
Yeah. I mean, when I start the appointment, I don't even get my stuff out. We just sit there and have that conversation. Like with and I know like a lot of the leads are directed toward pastors, which my dad was a pastor. I love that.
Yeah. And it's going to be ebbs and flows of those occupations, but yeah.
Yeah. That's just so like they're self-employed, right? So there's a whole bunch of challenges with that. Some of the other occupations like the teachers, a lot of them are upset because they have work coverage, but they know it's going to end.
And sometimes you're the bearer of bad news and they don't realize that. I try to tell people, listen, when you retire and you close that door and you walk to your car in that parking lot, you no longer have health insurance or life insurance or any of those benefits. Like that's how it works. You're like, really?
Yeah.
They did. Yeah.
That happened to one of my family members, and I would say even more so somebody that already has a private policy. In my experience, since I've been doing this, I would say half the time, like literally half the time, somebody already has a purchased private policy. It's not what they think it is.
Oh, wow.
They thought it was a whole life and it's really a term, or, oh, I got a $20,000 whole life, but it's really $140,000 accidental only policy.
Wow.
Or I bought a universal life 20 years ago and it's running out, like just crazy stuff.
Well, you're open up in a can, man. I mean, you're talking about where dishonest agents, miscommunication, or maybe they wrote it. They bought the policy 10 years ago and they really just forgot and they thought it was whole life. They thought it was
their cousin sold them a policy and they trusted their cousin.
Yeah. Exactly. No, I thought it was a 20-year term. Well, no, it was a 10-year term. That's why you got it for $17 a month, so
and a renewable
you're 10 years older. And that's why this is $100 a month. Okay. So let's transition and I love your process. I love how simple you're making it, because I think agents do. It's so cliche to say, but they do overthink this. And what if I lose money? But so I noticed that a lot of agents are purchasing 15 leads at a time. Like, on our back end, or I'll even see agents, they'll buy 2 leads from the map, and they're like, hey, I tried your leads and I didn't have success. I'm like, well, you bought 2 leads, for crying out loud. Like, you're not going to have success buying 2 leads. I noticed that you purchase 30 leads at a time on a regular basis. Why is that?
So, well, when you do a custom order, I mean, they fill up, roughly speaking, in 48 hours, right? Of course, sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower. Sure. And I really like the leads. Mm-hmm. I think at first I was trying to do 2 orders of leads a week, and just the way I got my schedule set up, it just wasn't working out the way I liked it. Yeah. So I wouldn't have them on the days that I was dialing. I was in the field. So trying to work that out. So I found what works best now is I just spend $1,000 a week. I'll order them like on a Saturday. At least half the order will be in on Monday. So let's say I got 15 or so of the 30 on Monday. I'll book half of those, let's say. And then Thursday, if I have any gaps, of course, but on Thursday, I'll come back and finish them up, and, I'll get my appointments out of them, make $6 or $7 grand on the batch, and boom, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you would say, I think we talked, you said 7,500 is kind of your average. Maybe like, 1 week you said you wrote 15 grand. But then, and that's what we're seeing. I mean, we're seeing a $250 premium per lead calculation. What that means is for every 10 leads you buy, you should write 2,500 in premium. So if you buy 30 leads, your minimum benchmark is 7,500. Now that could be, 6 or 7 deals at $100 a month, or it might be one $40 a month deal. And you also write that $250 a month case, right? It's going to be ebbs and flows.
Yeah. I mean, I would say my average order is about two grand in annual premium.
So calculate that for me. What do you mean?
So.
You mean per household?
Per household, yeah.
Oh, so $2 grand per house in AP. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And
it varies, obviously. Sometimes it's to his and hers.
Sure.
Or because they are nicer neighborhoods, and
I talked to. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, and I mean, a lot of them, like, they put the desired coverage down there. I mean, it's usually a few $100 grand, $500,000, $1 million, and it again rarely does it land on that, but. Right. It's somebody that, like you said, they have something they want to insure, whether it be the mortgage or income replacement or whatever, more so than just, hey, I want a $10,000-$20,000 final expense policy.
Yeah. Different world, different market, different needs. I spoke to a friend of mine over the weekend. He's a term /MP, like ninja. Like, my dude will call me and be like, we were way back in the day, and he'd be like, yeah, just for another $300 a month deal. I'm like, dude, what? Like, he's just honestly, he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to get people what they need. Like, And some agents are going to write a lot of term off these leads, but you're going to write some FE policies. You need to know how to transition that. Like, I think if you can't, don't be scared. Like, you're going to write enough business to make money and make a profit, but you need to know how to write a UL or an IUL. Like, you need to know how to present. And again, you're not going to do that overnight, but like, that's how we maximized our leads. I fortunately had a background in traditional life. So when I was slinging FE, I was at this company, and it was a great situation. But then when I found out about mortgage protection, I started getting those leads, and I was excited because I actually got to use real life insurance knowledge, and it's not just get your $20,000 policy. So my very first policy I wrote I'll never forget, it was a Transamerica UL.
Yeah.
It was $275 a month. And I just was like, what just happened? Like, there are some weeks in FE, you're like, dude, I struggled the whole week to get to $275 a month in premium, and I just did it in like 45 minutes. And this dude was like, hey, come check out my RV. I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. So I'm over here like walking through this man's RV. It's like, and I just wrote 270. I was like, this is crazy. Where am I? So what would you say? Like, cause I know you're new, like you've been in the business. Gosh, you haven't been in the business a year yet, have you?
No, yeah. What, 9 months?
Yeah. So how has it been, that learning curve? Did you have some mentors in your business? Like, how did you learn how to transition that final expense sale or to the UL?
I mean, so I write a lot of IULs.
Okay.
And
nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
And, people around me, like other agents, they'll come to me and they'll go, hey, are you trying to like fit an IUL into everybody? Are you pitching IULs? I'm like, actually, no. Like, I have a couple scenarios that I find like if I find these certain scenarios, it's just a good fit. It's a layup. It makes a lot of sense. And, and so what I did was, yeah, I mean, there's some mentors, but honestly, like all the guys I was working with when I first started, no one was writing IULs. And so I don't know. I think like if you go on, it's kind of funny. If you go on TikTok or YouTube, there's like IULs are kind of a sexy thing right now. Like there's a lot of content being made about them.
Yeah.
And so that was something I kind of had an interest in. And I just, people are like, well, how do you learn about IULs? Like, I don't know, go run some case illustrations and read them.
Yep.
And so I did that a few times and then found a few situations that they just really, really work well. Mm-hmm. And then I just did a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And every time I didn't know something, I just go look it up or ask somebody.
Right. Well, that's That's really all you have to do. That's awesome. I mean, it's you don't have to be a financial advisor or a CFP to do these deals. Like, it's not uncommon, especially if you're getting into a little bit of moving parts with those policies. You can walk out with a $400 or $500 a month case. They're out there. And what's funny, I used to joke because my buddy, he called, I talked to him over this past weekend. I mean, literally every single week, at least one of his deals was $300 a month. Every week. I mean, I was like, dude,
that's not even uncommon. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Go ahead.
I've been sick all week, so I ran one appointment yesterday, and it was $3,200 a year.
Wow.
So it was nice to get in one appointment.
Yeah. And this business is great. This business is great. And we're going to I'd love to have you back on another call, maybe in like 6 months. And I would love to talk to you a little bit more and see how kind of where you're at. But let's end on maybe some of these numbers, because I think some guys, and I say this with respect, but you seem to be good at like the business side of this is like, okay, I know I've got to invest in leads if I'm going to make good money. Like it's business, right? It's, how do you work on that mental toughness? Cause I think a lot of agents are good at sales, but they're really not. They're trying to find the perfect lead. They're trying to find the perfect scenario. It's like, if you would just buy leads and go to work, like, what do you do to stay mentally tough? Like, I'm gonna order 30 leads, I'm going to work, I'm making money. Like,
that's a tough one. Yeah. Right. Like, I can answer it for me, but like everybody has like that risk tolerance where they get afraid. Like I have a girl on my team, and she's so good, but literally the only thing keeping her back from doubling her business, she just needs to spend more money on leads.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. That's all it is.
I can't say that as a lead vendor. That's
of course you would say that, right?
Well, but like, I can't, like, I cannot get away with like saying like, hey, listen, man, your problem is you don't buy enough leads. Like, that like I sound like a jerk saying that, but that's true. That's the
Yeah.
only difference between you, agents that are like kind of making a living and agents that are like, dude, I cannot believe how much money I made. Is they just see more people. Well, how do you see more people?
Yeah.
You buy more leads. That's it.
Yep.
There's no like rocket science.
I think it like so many people, they probably worry about like, okay, how much money am I going to make this month? Or what's my net going to be? How much premium am I going to write? And the only thing I focus on is like, how many appointments do I have this week? And I know that if I'm not spending money, I'm not going to have 30 plus appointments. If I have 30 plus appointments, I'm going to write 10 to 15K every single week. It's not going to be a problem like that. That's just it. So I just worry about the appointments, and I know that to spend the money, I'll get the appointments. Simple. That's it. If I spend more money, then I'll have an easier time booking up my appointments. Right. So if I have a good diverse lead flow, I got plenty of leads coming in, I can book up all my appointments in a few hours, once or twice a week. And so that's just it. And, it has been a little bit like over time, like before I got in the insurance industry, I was in a different industry where I did do some lead stuff, but it was like on such a small scale. Like I probably spent 2 or 3 grand in a year on leads. And I remember every single year I'd look at my 1099 and go, man, if I only had a way to spend more money on leads, I'd probably make more money. And then here, the insurance industry, it's like, we make that look like a joke, right?
Yeah. So your goal is to write 10 to 15K a week, which is 400 to 400, half million plus a year, basically, is what your goal. It sounds like, is that your goal?
Yeah. So yeah, it's from May to December. I know we paid 300K. So we had some pretty good weeks and months in there. My best month, I submitted 115.
That's amazing.
So that was pretty good. I really want to get to that 100K in a month mark. So
that's, there's got to be systems if you want to do that, right?
Yeah.
You've got to have the lead flow. You got to have the appointment flow, which, but you can do that. Like you can see enough people, and maybe some of it transitions to more virtual, so you can see more in a smaller period of time, maybe. But
honestly, I think that the metric is this, right? Like, so like I said, I submitted 115 in 1 month, and I know a bunch of other people have done that. And it's not so much about like, oh my gosh, I need 60 appointments in a week. It's like, you need to sit, you actually need to see, 28 to 30 people, like actual good appointments. That's all it is. Right. Wow. So it's like, how can I get more appointments that I actually sit on? Cause we know, you get no shows and reschedules and things like that.
So how are you, cause this, and then I've got a lot of content I want to put out on this side of the business, because there's a fine line, there's the line of like, okay, I want to build a big business, I want to be successful, but there's also life. You've got a wife, you've got two young girls. How are you winning at both? Like, or is that like a goal this year? You know what I'm saying? Like, cause you can make $1 million, but you could also lose a marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want people to understand, like, you can have fun in this business and have a good life and make money.
So, well, for us, yeah, I mean, it's definitely like, we are not in balance right now. So, again, like I came from another industry.
Sure.
I was making about 150K a year. And I came from that, and my wife and I, so she actually kind of runs our agency. She does all of the contracting work, the admin work, the hiring work. Like she's a beast. I tell everybody she runs everything. I just work here.
Yeah.
Right. And so when we started, we said, okay, we got this like 2-year timeline, all hands on deck, just put our face down and grind. And so to be fair, Monday through Saturday, I'm on the road grinding. I see the kids in the morning, kiss them, get them off to school.
But that's okay. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's okay, because everybody is in agreement. Everybody knows why we're doing it, what we're doing. And then, Sundays is family day, and we go hard. We go super hard. It's like, the Atlanta Zoo, like every week it's an adventure. And, so I guess to answer your question, like as a trying to be a good father, provider, all those things, like that one day, like the kids get excited, that fills my cup.
Mm.
to keep me going for the next week. And so when Friday, Saturday comes, like, yeah, I'm getting a little drained. I'm missing the kids. And so like, that's the cycle that works for us to make sure all the cups are filled.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting. You said the word grind, and I'm a firm believer of this because my wife and I went through this. You know, my wife does hair, right? She runs
Oh, my wife was a hairstylist for 17 years.
yeah, my wife, yeah. So you know, and we have grind seasons. There was grind seasons where, you know, I'm working, like I remember before, especially before kids, you know, Sunday was a church day, family day for us, you know, but
Yep.
I mean, Monday through Saturday, you know, we're working. She was working, I was working. Like, I mean, like it's just what you do. But as far as grind, there are grind seasons, and that's one thing too. I'm really excited about this year because I want to show agents that it is very possible to make a good six-figure income for your family. I'm talking about in your own pen. Now you start getting into a team and you start really growing. I mean, you know, this is a seven-figure business. But you can have a life in this business where your money is taken care of, your basic needs in life, you're growing, you're saving money, but you're also like, I know insurance agents that are on the lake on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And they make six figures. Like, so like you can have it, you can kind of like cultivate. That's what's really cool. You have a system that works for you and your family. You can do that in this business. You run the show. You can cultivate whatever you want. You can grind for 2 years and reach a goal. That's fine. You can also, I know guys that want to make 150 grand a year and golf 3 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
How incredible, how awesome is that?
Well, that's it. Like, there's no one size fits all.
Right.
Right. Like, it's not right for you or I to tell anybody like, well, hey, you're happy with 150. You should do more. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But also, like you said, there's seasons. I think it's good in life just to always have on and off seasons, right? Like, you just do the same thing all the time, whether it be health, marriage, business, like it's just going to get a little bit boring, right?
Yeah. Mix it up. I like it. Well, man, listen, I really appreciate your time. I wanted this call to be I wanted to just talk about the hard things, like, and talk about the numbers. And I just want agents to know, like, the only thing holding them back is really them. And I have to be very careful in my position saying that, but like agents will ask me questions sometimes and I can immediately know, like, you're a new agent and you're thinking about this wrong, but like, I can't, cause I'm not, that comes across weird for me, so, but I really appreciate your authenticity today. I appreciate, and I hope people are able to garner from this, that you can be successful. It is possible. And and I'm not, this is not just a plug for our term leads, but like, you're literally, you're a real human being with a real family, and you're making it work. And it's really exciting to talk to you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate what you guys are doing. Like I said, we've been using you guys from day one. And one thing I can say to let everybody know is your customer service is like super on point. So I definitely appreciate that.
I appreciate that, man. We try. We hate unread emails. So if you email us, we're like, all right, let's that's probably a good thing.
Sure.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, listen, I've enjoyed this, and I wish you the best, man. I hope 2022 is your biggest year ever. I really do.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it.